was, in fact, indeed, trying to look out for whoever has the most money. I wouldn't go after pitiful little pity like disability check of like maybe $1,000.
Let me see. Who's here for? Y'all are both here. You're both Kevin. One of you's Kevin.
Kevin.
And you're James Cho.
Yes, sir.
And you're Carol Lee. If y'all could raise your right hands and be sworn, please. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Choate. You want to proceed with the case, sir?
Yes, thanks, Judge Solomon. The first thing I'll just mention is I provided a list of exhibit document that just lists everything out. If we need to reference any particular piece of evidence, I'll probably refer to that. In the petition, I summarized the facts of the case. Would you prefer that I just kind of talk through that here, or
Actually, I've read the petition, so let's see. I got a couple of questions, I guess. So the car is in James and Kara's name. Is that correct?
Yes.
sir. Yes.
That's correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And who has possession of the car right now?
Right now, I do, Kevin Choate.
Do we know how much is owed on the car?
Yes, we do. It's $21,303.18.
Okay. Do we know the value of the car at this point?
We do. The exhibit 3 I provided shows a Kelly Blue Book value of $10,991.
So the note on the car is still 21,303?
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't know if you had a chance to read through the addendum in the petition, the updated one, but if you like, I can summarize the key points.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. In the spring and through the summer of 2021, Kara and my son James began dating online. Kara making trips from Abilene to Austin frequently, and then later that summer, we offered to let her stay temporarily as a guest in my wife's and my home while she looked for a job and an apartment of her own in Austin. And we believe that she engaged in this relationship with James, knowing of his capacity limitations, which I've provided evidence of in Exhibit 1, and with the intent of pressuring him into giving her money and co-signing on a car, because we've learned that she's done this multiple other times with other people. And in effect, September 1st, she convinced James to join her to go purchase a car. Her intent was to get a car for herself. James already has a car that he was, paying his note on. And, at the end of the day, she ended up asking him for money, $200 to help her with the down payment, which he helped her with. She paid the majority of it, $300 herself of the down payment, because as I said, it was intended to be her car. And when they couldn't qualify her first for a loan, she and the finance manager at Onion Creek Volkswagen said, "Hey, James, let's look at your numbers and maybe we can get her approved." And James, because of his cognitive capacity limitations, didn't really understand nature of the contract or what that obligated him for. He just thought he was being a good guy and helping Ms. Lee purchase a car for herself. So her stated intention all along was that this would be her car. She was going to pay for the insurance, the car note, all that stuff. And she, pressured James, our contention is, into co-signing so she could get that loan approved. Well, within a few days after getting that car, she began to be rather cruel and unkind to James. It wasn't visible to me because she was doing this in private. As a result, he ended the relationship with her, and then a few days later, she left town with the car. I tried to reach her, contacted her through text and Facebook Messenger to ask her to please return the car so that we could undo this with the dealership. I also learned that she was not covered, did not get insurance on the car, was driving it illegally without insurance. She wouldn't provide verification of insurance, and she wouldn't return the car. She was back in Abilene or Stephenville, Texas at that time. And she basically refused, saying, no, this is my car. I'm not giving it back.
Okay, so Mr. Choate, I
Yeah.
understand you ended up paying for the insurance for the car, is that correct?
That's correct. I
Now,
wanted
do
to
you
make
know,
sure.
was that liability insurance and full coverage for the car, or what kind of insurance did you purchase?
Yes, it was full coverage. I basically wanted to protect James's interests in case she killed somebody or wrecked it. We wouldn't have a liability there.
Do you know how much, do you have a breakdown of how much it was for the liability versus the comprehensive and collision coverage?
I do. It would be in the exhibits if we wanted to look specifically at that.
Okay,
Let's see, but their contract, I'll just mention this, Your Honor, the contract required that she maintain full comprehensive coverage. It didn't allow just a liability. That's in the contract documents.
right.
But
I understand that it required comprehensive. But that's why I need a breakdown between the comprehensive and collision
okay.
and the liability.
If we wanted to get that, exhibit 16 through 19 includes the policies and the breakdowns. So, for example, exhibit 16, it's all state policy, page 14 is specific to this vehicle. Let's see.
Can you pull that up, JC?
So the total premium was $614 a month.
Yes.
Or sorry, 647. So the first two items look like liability items.
So in that one, it would say $342, let's say, of coverage for the comprehensive and the collision.
That's right. Yep.
When was this car purchased?
September 1st, 2021.
Cars purchased September 21st of 21.
September 1st of 2021. Basically, I couldn't get Kara to agree to even help pay the insurance while we were trying to get it sold or repossessed, and she would not. So I just dropped the coverage and parked it in storage, left the car in storage.
That takes care pretty much of the insurance. So
just
just
to as a reference, that I listed all those insurance coverage amounts in the detail of damages at the end of the petition.
Right.
So that's where I'll be referencing as we move through.
All right.
All right. So just, picking up, I contacted Ms. Lee to try and get her to return the car to cover the insurance costs. She refused. Exhibit 24, page 13 is a transcript of our messaging exchanges, and she just basically says, "Not happening, I'm keeping my car." At that point, I was trying to I'd spoken with the dealership and explained the situation with my son and the contract and the undue pressure both they and Miss Lee put on James, who didn't understand the nature of this contract.
Mm-hmm.
The dealership said, if you can get her to bring the car back, we'll work something out. And that was what we were working for. She basically said, "Nope, not happening. I'm keeping my car." And she blocked us from any calls or messages from that point forward.
Okay.
So later, she stopped making payments on the car. It became delinquent. We started getting creditor calls. That's all documented in exhibits 4A, page 8, that severely impacted James' credit, shows the delinquencies. I found a way to reach her again through social media and told her, "Hey, and we're getting creditor calls. What's going on?" In which case she basically informed us she had lost her job or couldn't keep the payments current. And she said, "I'm happy to just give the car back or give it to you guys and try to sell it." So I have the records of those communications and the exhibits, but basically, long story short, I drove to Stephenville, Texas. She released the car to me in very terrible shape. She had destroyed a tire. It was hay bales hauled in the trunk. It was filthy, and she had driven over 41,000 miles in a year. So that's the reason that we're way upside down. We couldn't get the dealership to give us enough. When I got the car back, I tried to have them take it back and resolve the lien. We couldn't get enough from them. I tried to sell it outright. Actually, it's been posted for over a year and a half. Can't get enough to cover it, and the finance company won't release the lien to sell it without covering the note. So, I tried to get Miss Lee, who has the only one that's driven this car at all, to cover the difference based on her depreciation of the car. She's refused, and that's kind of what brought us here today. At the end of the day, I hired an attorney. James and I did. We spent over $5,000. Those are in exhibits 6 through 9. The attorney trying to get Miss Lee through correspondence to return the car, the dealership, to work this out. And he provided us guidance on bringing this to small claims court with the complaint that we've laid out here. So, summary of the complaint, I'll just briefly tell you is, again, because of James' cognitive disability, which is documented in Exhibit 1, we feel like she purposefully took advantage of him to get money and get a co-signer. She's done this again since she left town in Austin with another person, Ashley Cisneros, which we learned she did a similar thing with. And she's refused to pay depreciation costs, insurance costs. I had to pay to get the tire repaired. I had to pay toll bills she racked up, toll charges that she wouldn't reimburse us for.
And how much were the toll charges? Which number is that?
And the detail of damages claimed, it's a relatively
1883.
Yeah, it's a small thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It was $50-something, but I talked him into removing the late fees after she didn't pay it.
I still have a toll bill from January in my name
Okay.
that said
Hold
that
on.
I
Hold
was
on. We'll give
writing.
you a chance to talk about that, Miss Lee. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Choate. Anything else?
I guess, the main element of our claim is even if, the court were to say James is liable for liable for the value of the car note, notwithstanding his cognitive disability. We think this case meets the criteria for a conversion cause of action that requires that the plaintiff owned, possessed, or had rights, which James did as co-owner. The property was personal property, which it was, being a vehicle. That the defendant wrongfully exercised dominion or control over the property, which, she took the car out of town, didn't tell us where she was or it was, blocked us, wouldn't return it when we finally did reach her and asked her to return it. And therefore, we think she did wrongfully exercise that dominion and control of the car. And then lastly, that the plaintiff suffered injury, which we've detailed out innumerable costs as a result of this. So I've outlined the amount of damages that we're seeking, $17,355.83. In addition to that amount does include the attorney's fees that I outlined, but in addition to that would be, pre-judgment, post-judgment interests. And, we think that there's certainly a case to be made for exemplary damages based on wanton and malicious nature of her efforts to take advantage of a disabled person.
Okay. First off, okay, so Ms. Lee, do you have any questions of Mr. Choate, or you just want to?
No, I have no questions or
Okay, but
concerns.
hold on a second. Did James want to make a statement, or is that sufficient, Mr. Choate?
James, anything that you want to add?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, if you'd like to tell me your side of the story, Ms. Lee, you could do that.
Absolutely, sir. Me and James Choate met on Tinder. We had a conversation. We met up. It was a genuine relationship. My first weekend down there, he had to work because James Choate does actually indeed have a job being on disability. He did sell cars, and then he got moved to being a transporter. I saw him a few times at work. Whenever I went, I had beer and pizza with his parents. They asked me if I was planning on coming to move down there or what the plan was. We had just got together. That Sunday, James bought me a promise ring on his own accord at Walmart. Then not shortly long after, we were walking around the mall. It was a nasty rainy day. James Choate proposed to me. Was not anything, I did not do anything in order for him to propose. Then we ended up, I needed to buy a car, went and looked. My mom, I tried to get her to co-sign, but with her, she had my stepdad at the time's income pretty much, and they didn't allow her to do that since she didn't herself have a job. I couldn't do it on my own. I told him the only thing that I had a job as soon as I moved down there. I have no criminal record. Anybody can look it up. I did not do anything wrong. I made car payments on that car until it came down to me and my children having a place to live. My boyfriend at the time in Stephenville was having a hard time getting his checks with his company, and the job that I had I couldn't afford both the car payment and for our apartment that we lived in. So then I told James, or not James, but I told Kevin, hey, I can't afford this. Instead of just not paying on it or anything like that, I didn't try to do anything wrong. Mr. Choate, Kevin, did not like me from the very beginning. I did not come from money. I do not live in a two-story house like they do. So to them, I was looked beneath upon. His wife, she loved me to death, begged me to try to get me to stay with a friend, still wanted to see my kids. I was a single mother. I wasn't looking for anything like that. And James never himself really told me about being on disability, and was a smart individual himself. His dad, unfortunately, treats him as if he's an invalid and isn't smart enough. Yes, he's on disability, but that doesn't mean that James is not a smart person or capable of making his own decisions. I do not see any time James sitting there drooling, being unconscious. He's not on any kind of medication as far as that would make him have any kind of thoughts like that. And the reason why the relationship ended is because I found a text message from him and his ex-girlfriend where he was telling her he loved her. I told his mom that. I went to leave. I told her I'm not staying in the same house. as my ex-boyfriend. And no, I would not try to stay in contact with Mr. Kevin Choate because he didn't have any kind of relationship, any kind of anything for me from the day one. So I definitely would not try to stay in contact with him. I don't really try to have myself around people that were raised to look down on. I wasn't raised to see color, wasn't raised to see disability. And if I was, in fact, indeed, trying to look out for whoever has the most money, I wouldn't go after somebody's little pity like disability check of like maybe $1,000. James lived with his parents. He did not have his own anything. His car was almost paid off. You know, it wasn't like, I mean, his dad treated him as if he's like still in high school.
Okay,
It wasn't any
Ms.
kind of
Lee,
situation.
have you given the card to the Choates?
Yes, I did give the card to the Choates. And luckily after I did that, my boyfriend had a car that was paid off. So me and my kids, you know, we had a car. We were able to go back and forth
Can
to
you tell me how you ended up putting 41,000 miles on a car in a year?
I ended up having to make an emergency trip to Tennessee. My boyfriend's mom was in the hospital. We drove to Tennessee to go make sure she was okay. She has emphysema and all of that, or she did. And so she was in the hospital. That was the time that COVID was going around pretty regularly, like it again is now. And once we got her squared away and taken care of, then because she didn't have any way of getting things done herself, we came back down and all of that. And then September 20th of 2022, I got into a 6-car pileup of no fault of my own. I was sitting at a red light, got hit head on with a truck pulling a horse trailer. He broke my neck, gave me a post-traumatic, like a traumatic brain injury.
Well, that wasn't in this car though, right?
No, it was not,
All right.
fortunately, in that car.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
So,
yeah,
and
so I have a
what happened to the tire in this?
the tire, I really don't remember what happened to the tire. I know I tried to let James know that there was something wrong with the tire, but I don't remember. I think we had hit something in the highway, but I don't really honestly remember. There's still parts of my memory from that I kind of don't remember on things, but and the wheels, we did paint them black, the rims, but there was it was nothing illegal. You know, I tried not to do ever anything illegal. I've never even had a speeding ticket. I just simply couldn't afford car insurance on that car. My stepdad at the time would not allow me to put my car on their car insurance or anything like that. And with my job, I was only making $10 an hour. I was having to go donate blood and plasma to be able to even afford to do that and take care of my children.
Okay.
So it was not anything as far as trying to go after somebody. You know, I went after James for the simple fact of trying to love him and to have a relationship. I mean, I was happy whenever he had proposed to me. You know, so was his mom. I mean, she introduced me to everybody that she knew at school as her daughter-in-law. We were excited, and I mean, I was heartbroken whenever he broke up with me. Well, whenever he cheated on me, I was heartbroken. You know, I grew up with a dad that did that, and I don't want that around my kids. So I had no reason to stay in contact. I could have, yes. I mean, I needed a car to be able to go back and forth to work to support myself and my kids. I wasn't going to go without a car. You know, no, I haven't done this to anybody else. And as far as the stuff with Ashley Cisneros, that has nothing to do with this case, nor is it nowhere near the same thing with this case. And it's completely opposite. They're only getting one side of that story, and the information, the only reason why they got a hold of that is because those people had went through my mail. My husband and I have been having issues dealing with these people for a while. The lady, the girl that has that, she has a brain tumor, and she's barely like caught like awake half the time because she's so drugged up. So that has nothing to do with it. But I'm not going to sit here
Your
and
Honor,
allow
could
my
we ask a few
defamation.
questions? Could we ask a few questions on this topic?
Go ahead, Mr. Choate.
So Ashley Cisneros saw the it is a family friend, as I understand, of Miss Lee's new husband, the guy she met and married after she left Austin.
No, it wasn't the guy I left right after I left Austin, but
Well,
okay.
anyway, a friend of your husband, is that correct?
They were a friend until we found out they were stealing from us. Ashley
Okay,
has
hold
a
on.
history of theft.
Let me just share what I'm referring to, Your Honor. Mrs. Narrows contacted us when she saw the small claims court service of this case that was delivered to Miss Lee. She reached out to us on Facebook and asked to speak with us to understand what had happened, because as she shared with us, Ms. Lee essentially ran the same playbook with her. She has a visual impairment. She says she's legally blind. According to Mrs. Narrows, Ms. Lee pressured her into co-signing on a car, and then left town again with the car. Miss Cisneros had no access to it. And sorry. And
Your Honor,
she was not able to get it recovered to deal with it, and she's facing the same exact scenario we are. So I guess let me ask you, Miss Lee, did you ask Mrs. Cisneros to co-sign for a car loan?
no, I went and they gave me a ride to go get a car loan. My mother was supposed to co-sign, and then my mom didn't have enough credit to be able to co-sign. So I was like, okay. I was on the phone with my husband. They said, well, what if we give you money to do that? And so she started talking to the car dealership. They then were like, well, we'll give you $1,000 to co-sign. Ashley saw dollar signs. She was like, I'll do it. It's fine. I, in fact, gave her the title to my Audi Q7 that I have that I purchased with cash that is sitting over at their house. So a car that's worth $8,000 sitting there at their house that I handed the title to. I said, okay, cool. That, whatever, that's fine. She said, you need a car
When did you
to go.
purchase that car?
I purchased that with my money from my car accident whenever I won the settlement for my car accident. She
So
didn't tell you that, did she?
instead of that, why weren't you able to pay us back for the insurance and the damage
Because
to
I
this
haven't
car?
heard nothing from you in 2 years. I'm just now hearing this. I didn't hear nothing from a lawyer. I never heard anything from a lawyer about you. There was no contact from your lawyer. So you might want to look up and see that. And the deal with Ashley Cisneros, you're talking to a pathological liar where they
Okay,
don't work.
she's not here, correct?
No, she's not.
Okay, so
She
that's
does
fine.
not work.
Is she here, Mr. Choate?
No, unfortunately, she
And
had a conflict and
Okay.
couldn't join
All
this.
right.
But
yeah, that's
Okay.
because it's all a lie, sir.
Okay,
Your
besides that,
Honor.
what else would you like to talk about besides her, Miss Lee?
Well, I just wanted to clarify on that, Your Honor, because they do in fact have the car. They came and picked it up while I was at work. I was the one making the car payments on that car. They do not have the money to
So,
make the car
are
payments
y'all
on that.
making the payments, Mr. Choate?
no,
Or
Your
somebody
Honor.
making the payments on the car?
No, Your Honor. This car is not, again, I agreed to try and sell the car for Kara,
Right.
which I've been trying to do. But this has always been her car according to her intent, and no payments have been made since she stopped making them. James
But
receives a
so
little
the payments were stopped when?
August of 2022.
And have you heard from the lien company?
Yes, they tried to repossess, or sorry, they tried to have creditors reach out to us.
Uh-huh.
We put a cease and desist on that, so they haven't attempted to that. I wrote a letter to them asking them to repossess it, but they haven't responded to that request or made any attempt to repossess. Basically, they have written off the loan at this point, but it still shows as a lien and a loan balance against both Miss Lee and my son James. So James doesn't have the funds. He only makes a little bit of money each month from a
Right.
disability check. He can't cover these
And his job
payments.
at Honda in Austin.
He doesn't work at Honda in Austin.
He
Okay.
used to. Or
Okay.
was he impersonating?
That's not really relevant at this point.
No.
There,
But
it
anyway,
appears there's still a balance on the car then.
That's right.
yes.
Okay. Well,
It would have
And
been,
I just now started working. I was released from the doctor, just now started working.
okay. So you've
I
still
haven't
been
been
trying to
working.
sell the car, but you haven't had anybody. I understand they don't want to pay the entire
Well, that-
difference, but have you tried to sell? Anybody made any offer on the car, Mr. Cho?
no, and it's because we,
Because of
I
because of the loan.
That's right. We can't get enough. Miss Lee wouldn't
Covered.
provide the difference between what we were offered by the dealership for the car,
Uh-huh.
which was at the time $16,500, and the loan balance. Otherwise, we could have done that. Had she done that instead of bought an Audi Q7, this would have been over a year and a half
So-
ago.
So, but it's gone. Hold on, it's gone from 16,000 to 10,000 now.
Yes, in a year and a half, 10,900 and
10,312.
Your Honor,
yeah.
as far as I haven't heard anything until October from these people
Uh-huh.
on the vehicle. From my knowledge, they already had a buyer lined up. They were already ready. It was going to be taken care of. I haven't heard anything else from these people. I did not have the same phone number, and I do not have anything. My old phone got destroyed in the car accident. So nobody has tried to contact me or anything like that in order to even get any of that deal. I bought an 2010 Audi Q7 on Facebook, so I had something to drive in order to try to go to work.
Well,
Once
it
I was,
sounds like there's still an outstanding balance on this
and
car.
I do not have any of that money. The majority of my money
Fine. That's fine.
from
I'm just
that,
saying,
yeah.
at this point, you're both on the loan, so you're both liable for it.
Well, as far as the state of Texas, I mean, that's
As far
what
as the state of Texas is concerned,
Yeah.
probably you're both
Yeah.
liable on the car.
I
That's
haven't done
fine.
anything
That's
to try
fine.
to
So I'm
wrongfully.
not taking that into consideration at this point, because I'm not sure I have the authority to deal with that. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to enter a judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $952 plus court costs. And that's basically the cost of the insurance coverage that was paid. I'm sorry, Mr. Choate, I don't believe I can award you the attorney's fees without the attorney being present and representing you in court.
Your Honor, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What about the cost to repair the tire, to pay her toll bills and,
Again, well, the toll bill was included in that 952. The cost to repair the tire is what, it's $107. I'm gonna add $58. So that the judgment will be $1,010. Let me see if there's anything else. And you do both have the right to appeal this case. You have 14 days to file a motion for new trial. I believe it's 21 days to appeal. Is that right, JC?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, otherwise, basically, I believe I have jurisdiction over the insurance. And so I am going to, a total judgment of $1,010
Your
Okay.
Honor, who has jurisdiction over the claim of a conversion cause of action?
Well, I mean, you could all, now, I don't know if she's willing to sign over the car if
I
you
already
sell
did,
it.
sir.
I'm not
I
sure,
already did,
you know, but, uh,
Your Honor.
it's
I
not gonna,
had
I don't see how anybody's gonna buy it without unless that lien's paid off.
Is
I
she
signed over.
is she responsible for the depreciation that she incurred with the 40,000 miles?
I can't really say that, sir. I mean, she's entitled to drive the car. I don't think I don't believe I can do that. Again, other judge may see that differently, sir. If you want to appeal, you have the right to a new hearing, new trial in county court. If you want to appeal, Mr. Choate, I will set a $500 bond. If you want to appeal,
You're breaking up, sir.
I said, if he wants to appeal the case, he can file a $500 bond. Miss Lee, if you want to appeal the case, you have to post a bond of 1010.
Okay.
Unless,
How do I
unless you're
go about?
indigent, if you're indigent, you can file an affidavit of indigency to post a bond. If you want to appeal the case.
How do
If
I
you're
go
indigent,
about
Mr. Choate,
paying
you can
that?
do that too, but it doesn't sound like you're indigent, but anyone who's indigent has a right to appeal without posting a bond. If you do appeal, there's a whole new trial in county court. And you can present all your evidence to another judge. Any questions about that, Mr. Choate?
I just want to be clear on the portion of insurance you were not including. So that I understand.
All I was including was the comprehensive and the collision coverage.
Okay. So you're not agreeing that she was at least 50% responsible for carrying liability coverage?
I actually charged her the entire amount of the comprehensive and collision coverage.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other questions, Ms. Lee?
Yes, sir. How do I go about as far as paying that? I don't have
That's just a legal issue, Ms. Lee. It's just a judgment.
all of the money that I got from that was
It's up to them to try to enforce the judgment, and you have certain items, of course, that are exempt from a judgment. But again, you may want to talk to someone in the legal field about what happens with a judgment, ma'am. You can talk to legal aid, you can talk to a law library, wherever you are. They may be able to give you some more information, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Anything further?
Will we get any kind of paperwork?
We'll send
or
you a
any-
paperwork. You should get a copy of the judgment in your email. We have,
Okay.
we have her email address, right?
Yes, I've confirmed all their contact
All your email. So
information.
you'll, again, it may take me a day or so to sign the judgment. So we should get you a copy of the judgment by Monday, I would guess, hopefully. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Choate?
No, thank you, Your
All right.
Honor.
Thank you very much.